Hello, Sula here from MistyHilltops.com. Thanks for stopping by. In this video, I'm working on a traveler's notebook layout that I titled Road Trip, and I'm using the digital scrapbook collection Are We There Yet? By Melissa Bennett and Studio Flergs. So I'm working with two clusters here that one of the clusters will go partially across the page. I'm making sure I'm not having to cut through any photo, but some of the papers I will cut through there. So I'm working with two small square photos. I think they would be 2 by 2 inches in size, if I remember correctly. And so I'm basically starting with laying out the paper so that I have an idea where to put things and where to start gluing. And obviously I have to start with the background layer, which is furthest at the back, so that I don't start gluing things down and realize something should go underneath there. So I'm starting with this little, it has a car kind of pattern, and then I'm adding a landscape or a map pattern on top there. So it's just making sure that you can still see the pattern papers and to have everything in the right kind of place there so that the patterns can still be used and play with each other. As usual with all my pages, I have run a card around the edges of each of these papers so that their edges are distressed, and that gives a better shadow and contrast on each of the paper layers there. And then I have this tiny little paper strip that still goes on top of all the others there, and even a little bit across the photo there. That photo is large enough that I don't mind to cover it up, especially because in the foreground there isn't all that much going on. Then I have this tree that I just fussy cut. It came with this digital scrapbook kit, as well as all the other many of the other embellishments that I'm using, except for the word strips. Obviously those are strips that I created myself and add them to my pages, and flowers. But a lot of the elements were fun and flat enough. They weren't precisely just photographed images of something that they put on these digital scrapbooking kits. So this one worked really well with creating a page there. And then I have this little bunting, and I'm not sure you can see, but the paper is a little glittery, but kind of really hits the same. It's the same hue or shade of color, blue, that is in the in this digital scrap, in the papers basically. So then I'm ready to move on to the other cluster that will be on the other page, and it is further down on the page, and I'm starting with this bigger circle there that will go in the background. And then I'm making sure, I still want people to be able to see that this is actually that pattern paper is actually about street signs and stuff. So when I add that strip of paper on top, I make sure it's almost at a diagonal kind of an angle, so that you can see both sides. But then I realize I'm always covering up things too, so it doesn't matter. Here I have the flowers. These flowers I have created by just cutting them with some of my flower dies, cutting them from just white cardstock, and then I used watercolor to color it, and then I have some stamens that I then used for the center there. But I do notice that with stamens it does get quite a bit more bulky to the way that the flowers actually pop off the page. But I'm okay with that for this album. I'm using rings with this album, so pages can be bulky as much as they want to be, because the rings just will just then use whatever space is between the pages there. Then I have some word strips that came actually with the collection, and then I have some of my own word strips that I want to use. As usual, I do create my own word strips, and I share them as freebie on my blog, MistyHilltops.com. So go check out these word strips. They're super fun to use. They are a great embellishment, super easy. All I do is I print them from heavy-duty cardstock, and then I just trim them apart, and then I use them on my pages. It's just very wonderful to do it that way, and adds a little extra something there on my pages. So then I have the third cluster that I want to create, and I just detached it from any of the photos and decided to use it as a third cluster there, just with some embellishments with the there's that roadside that came with the collection. I'm adding another flower there to it, and then obviously my word strips. And then I have a few more word strips to go on the top cluster there. Also making sure I'm not covering up all that pretty paper still entirely. Overlap is fine, and getting some of the paper covered up, that's fine too, but obviously I wouldn't want to just cover up the whole that whole pretty, I love plaid, so that pretty plaid paper strip there. And this is where I'm getting to the end of my page. All I will have to do is then flip the page around and use the back side there, because it has a clear line to cut along and to cut apart the two pages. And then I'm going to leave you with some more close-ups, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye.